it's me, yes, the one and only Pod Friends, welcoming you to Starfleet Universe on call. And tonight, we've got me, we've got Barry, and that's it. And this might be a very short show because Barry has to get some sleep. But we'll do our best to continue on, even with Barry drops off the face of the earth and goes and falls into a coma. So, hey, Barry.
Hey there. So, let's look at the Sigvirion, I think is the ship of tonight. So, it's a very symmetrical ship. Quite literally, it can shoot and fight out of any shield facing. It is nimble. It is turn mode B, so highly maneuverable. It's also got its systems that are unusual. It's got, for heavy weapon, it's got a kinetic wave, which is a style of plasma torpedo. It's got pulse emitters, which is its phaser style weapon.
Right.
And the other unusual thing it has is a secondary shield.
Right, shield number 7.
So, shield number 7. Shield number 7 is really, really, really flexible. So basically, you can use that shield anywhere you need it. So if you get hit from an enveloping weapon, it can protect multiple shields at the same time. It's basically shield boxes that you can use as basically reinforcement for any shield facing, including multiple shield facings in the same impulse. At will. It can be damaged after reinforcement, which is nice. So you get to use your reinforcement first, then your secondary shield, then your main shield. You can use it or not use it as you wish. The only downside is that it cannot be used to determine where hellbore damage occurs. Although after the hellbore damage occurs, it can be used as reinforcement anywhere.
Right.
So if you have a down shield and half the hellbore damage happens on the down shield, you can use it to reinforce that down shield and at least take some of the hellbore damage off.
Right, but of course,
the other really
you
nice
still have
thing,
the issue with the hellbore damage, i.e., that if one shield is down, a lot of the damage will go through that one shield.
Yeah, but it mitigates the hellbore quite a bit in that respect.
Right.
Yeah. At least you have some shield.
Right. Oh.
Another interesting, nice thing about the secondary shield is it's quick and cheap and easy to repair. For 1 point of power and damage control, you get 1 box back. So you can repair up to 4 boxes of secondary shield per turn.
Excellent.
So that is particularly nice.
But normal repair
it makes
is not
damage
reduced.
Control.
If you do it via CDR, not CDR, yeah, CDR, not powered. It is
right. No, powered
pulse.
damage control.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah. I was noticing that for regular CDR, continuous damage repair.
Yeah.
It still costs the same amount as a regular shield. So that's all.
Yeah, but nobody uses CDR in tournament.
Depends. If you're desperate, you do. If you're that low in power, you do.
Okay, so
it's rare.
There is that. But it basically means that if the secondary shield's been damaged, it makes sense to pump 4 points of damage control every turn. And you can use it on a down shield, unlike specific reinforcement. So,
oh yeah,
in that sense, yeah. it's a very nice device to use. Now for the heavy weapons. The plasma style weapon is the kinetic wave.
Right.
Is it's a plasma style weapon with a bizarre twist that almost makes it
useless,
really weak. So when you first launch it, it's weak, and as it travels, it gets stronger, and then it peaks out, and then it starts to die off again. So there's two variants, a light and a heavy. And the variant, if you have a heavy launcher, you can arm it in 2 turns or 3 turns. And with a light one, you can only arm it for 2 turns. Mm-hmm. And after 2 turns of arming, you have a light. After 3 turns of arming, you have a heavy. It has all the energy in it has to be allocated. It cannot use reserve power. Costs 3 points of power per turn of arming. And it holds for 2. And I think you can stop the arming at any point, but you have to pay holding cost in that if you do that. And you can't use reserve power to continue the arming. You have to use allocated. So for heavy, it's 333, so 9 points total, making it a little more expensive than the Plasma S. And I don't think it's nowhere near as powerful as an S. Mm-hmm. It's got well, when you first launch it, range 0, it does no damage at all. So if somebody gets to range 0, you have no heavy weapons. But at range 1 through 5, it does 9 points of damage. 6 through 10, it does 18. Mm-hmm. 11 through 15, it does 27. And this number of hexes the torpedo has traveled.
Right.
16 to 20, it drops back down to 18. And 21 through 25, it drops down to 9. So at extreme long ranges, it's actually better than a Plasma S.
Right.
But of course, you don't want to be firing your Plasma S's at that range anyway. With a 3-turn arming weapon, that's
that is interesting because given the arcs for those, you got 2 of them, 2 of the heavies in any direction.
Right.
Which, actually, to a certain degree, is kind of interesting in that it's a weird ship in that it's best if you're running away.
Yeah. Well, that can do the retrograde better than anybody.
It doesn't have to do a retrograde. That's the thing. It's got 2 heavies that will fire directly rear arc.
Yes. Yeah, every plasma launcher has 180-degree arcs. So you've got an FAL, an FAR, an RAL, and an RAR.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I said, because those 180-degree arcs, no matter what arc you're in, you got at least 2 in arc. If you got a shield, right along the shield line, you got 3.
You can get 3. Yeah.
Which is not bad. Now, obviously, as I said, this is a ship designed for running away. Because of the distance.
Well, here.
Oh, come on. The weapon is such that it gets stronger to a certain degree, to a point.
As it gets further.
So you don't want to really go in and attack your opponent.
No, you don't.
You basically want to do is this is really weird when it comes to any um,
Tactic.
fighting style, which is you go to like range 20 and then you fire.
Yeah.
You launch these suckers. And
Well, at range 20, here's the problem. If you fire at range 20, your opponent may say, I can turn and run it out easily.
Oh, understood.
If you fire it at the optimal range, which is range 11 to 15, now your opponent can say, I can run through it, into it, and get lesser damage.
Right, which is the difficult part, because it's one of those ones where it's a catch-22, because what you really want is you want to have the ability to actually pin, quote unquote, pin your opponent, which is impossible to do. At range 20, you want your opponent to do something really dumb, i.e., do a corner dodge. That's what you want him to do.
Yeah.
Because if you can get him the corner dodge, he's toast. Now, but if he comes directly at you at high speed, you're toast, because one of two things can happen. As you pointed out, if you get too close and you fire, he's going to keep running as fast as possible directly at you. But
and if he can run through it, then you have your weapons become weak and feeble at close range.
Right, exactly. But if you fire at a long enough range, if he tries to run through it, he's going to hit it at pretty heavy damage. He can run away.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So you basically, the initiative is in your opponent.
Right.
You don't want to fire. Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is a weapon that really, it's good for killing bases.
Oh, I agree. This is a base killer. This weapon is a base killer. And because that's the only real weapon they have, because the pulse emitters, call for love of Pete. The only thing
are garbage.
Yeah, the only thing they're worth anything for is defensive against seeking weapons. That's the only thing they could be used for, in theory.
And they're pretty pitiful there too.
Oh, I agree. They're very, very, very weak, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it has no phasers other than the pulse emitters.
Right.
It's got 6 pulse emitters with similar arcs to the kinetic waves, except you got 2 360s. So you got 1 pulse emitter is FAL, 1's FAR, 1's RAL, 1's RAR, and then you got 2 360s. And each one of them fires 3 times, and at any decent range 1, they do average of a little over 2 points per shot. So they're a little more powerful than a phaser 1 at range 1. Probably a little more powerful than a phaser 1 at range 2. About parity with a phaser 1 at range 3, and at range 4, they're much weaker than a phaser 1, and that's their max range. And they don't hold for free like most phasers. There is no phaser capacitor. Now, you can hold them for, I think it's half the energy in the weapon. Hang on a second. Let's see. Pulse emitters. Where is it?
So they're basically a weak Gatling phaser. Weak Gatling phaser.
Yes, they do less damage, and they only fire 3 pulses instead of 4. they can be held for 1/2 of the energy they contain. And since it takes 0.33 points of energy per shot, that gets really weird really quickly.
Okay. When it comes to energy allocation, oi.
Yeah.
Because if you only have two pulses, in the capacitor, half of
Which
that
there is none.
is a 1/3 energy, and you might have another one which is 3, which is half a point of energy. Oy. Dude, this is the kind of nightmares. This is the kind of nightmares I deal with when it comes to the Andromedan, and when you try to do. Well, actually, this is not just the Andromeda. I'm sure that the Orion and the anytime you want to try to use a transporter with a 2/3 movement cost ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those nutty things when it comes to energy,
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's a weird ship.
That is, I have to admit, that's one of the things that I'm glad with FedCom that they got rid of that. They didn't say, oh, it's only a point, it's 1/5 point of power to use a transport. I think it's like I forget what it's based off of, but it makes something a little easier to track, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have one pulse unused, you can hold it for 1/6 of a point of energy.
Which is... Yeah, what?
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah, agreed. But again, as I said, the pulsometers, they're defensive weapons. They're phaser Gs.
Yes, they are.
They're a weak phaser G. They only can fire 3 times a turn. They cost 1/3 of energy versus a 1/4 point of energy, and they only can fire 3 times versus 4.
Yeah. So they're less efficient than a phaser 3.
And close in,
Gatling.
range 1, it averages it's like a 2.67. It's 2 2/3 average damage at range
per pulse.
Per pulse.
Right, and then you get 3 pulses, so it's about 8 points of damage for average at range 1, which is pretty good. So it's better than a P1 at range 1. Range 2, it's still better than a P1. Range 3, it might still be better than a P1.
Yeah, but
range 4 and up.
Screw it.
Yeah. Up to range 3, it's better than a P1. Beyond that,
yep.
But you only have 6 of them with no other backups. So that's a pretty freaking light phaser arm. And
Yep. Oh, I totally agree. But basically, you've got one weapon. Not one weapon, but you have basically you can launch 2 or 3 of these kinetic waves. Yeah, I'm looking for the word. Kinetic waves against the ship, and you can use, and if the person gets close, you're toast. Yes, you can fire maybe 3, maybe 4 of these pulse emitters when it gets close in. I mean, close in, i.e., range 3 or less. If he keeps you out to between 5 and 8, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So,
well, if somebody gets into the same hex with you, they're going to eat your lunch because the pulse emitters just don't do that much damage.
Oh, agreed. And the thing is,
and you have no heavy weapons at that point,
right? But to be honest, Well, actually, let me look at. Yeah, yeah, not great. Um, but to be honest, and there are certain ships that if they get range 0, you're toast. Anyway,
Yeah.
no matter what you are, let a Fed get to range 0. You know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna come out very well. You gonna let a Gorn get you at range 0? No, you're not. Or
Right.
any
Right.
plasma ship? No, you're not.
Yeah.
If obviously if you can get through the weapons, and in the case of the Sigvirion, the problem is timing. You know,
Yes.
you can in theory, if the Sigvirion opponent launches too late, he's toast because you can run
Yeah.
right through it, and still
If he fires too early, you're toast also.
right, exactly.
But one thing you might want to do is you might want to turn, say, to the left, or let's say you're coming up you're headed north on the board. You might want to turn right. Fire off your rear arc L launcher, then immediately hook back left and chase that torpedo.
Mm-hmm. I was more thinking actually, Barry, I was thinking along the lines of is come in, then launch. What's good? Maybe range 15.
You can't.
Well, range 15.
Yeah, but if you launch at range 15 against somebody who's moving quickly, they are going to be able to run in. You're not going to be able to get more than 2.
No, you can get you'll get 4.
And
here's why. Listen. Give me a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Come in range 15. Follow in maybe a little follow in a little longer. Then turn away, because if your opponent is foolish enough to run through it, fine, run through them. Now I'm going to turn, and if you chase me, I'll then launch my heavies and hopefully be able to land all 4. Now, of course, the problem is after I land all 4, I'm screwed. That is the problem. Because I'm without weapons basically for the next 3 turns.
Yeah.
If I am able to launch.
Well, here's the thing. If I fire at range, let's say I fire 2 of them at range 15, my opponent can run in and take 2 of them in the 6 to 10 bracket. Mm-hmm. It's easy enough to phaser them down, take them on a 6 or a 2 shield, and not take any internals, and then continue to come on in.
Right, and more to the point, Barry. After he does that, if he keeps coming in and you launch your other 2, he can take those other 2 on a different shield.
Not only that, but the fact is that you've.
And then as I pointed out, now you're.
And it's problematic that you'll get those other 2
turns.
Yeah, and it's problematic that you'll get those next 2 in the 6 to 10 range.
Yeah.
There's a possibility you might get them in the 1 to 5 range, in which case they do even less damage.
Right.
Now, 2 turns later, they come back as lights.
Right.
But once he gets inside of your effective range, and if he can stay in the 1 to 5 range of you, you have really no effective weapons.
Agreed. Now that's going to be depending completely on your opponent, what kind of weapons he has.
Yeah.
because I'm assuming at some point he's going to be launching some weapons on the first turn,
Right.
maybe the second turn. Um, Second turn would probably be best for your opponent because then he's not probably won't be really recharging his weapons um, until next turn, and usually so your energy cost normally is a little bit less. Depends upon the weapon, of course.
Well, let's say you're up against a Gorn or Rom or some other plasma armed race. Okay. You can hold on to your plasmas, run through the Sig's effective range, and now he's got a problem. If he continues to run, you chase him into a corner and then unload all your plasmas. Game over.
Yes, but at the same time, there's no such beast in Omega.
Okay.
Really.
Trobrin can run in on him.
Yeah.
Mazaron can run in on him. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that it would be an effective tactic not to charge your heavy weapons while you're charging the Sig. He has no, if you get to point blank range, you can out phaser him. Mm-hmm. So you might not want to spend the energy on charging weapons. Maybe holding some heavy weapons if you have holdable ones, but don't charge anything. You want everything for brick and speed to run through his plasmas. And now you're inside of his effective range, and you can pound away, and there's not a damn thing he can do.
Oh, agreed. Well, that's why I was pointing out the range. That most probably turn 2 will be a better effective time, because after you've run through the Sigvirion's weapons, the Sigvirion now has to charge his weapons to be ready for at the very least the turn afterwards, and most probably your weapon cost is going to be lesser because of holding for certain weapons and other weapons. You probably have phasers, phaser capacitors, so you don't have to charge those.
Right.
And then you can easily more run them down at that point. Yeah. I said that's depends on the weapons.
Right. The other thing that Sig could do is he can fire these at longer range and follow them in.
Right.
And see what you do. So if he fires them at like range 25 or so, and follow them in. Mm-hmm. Now, just fire one at range 25. That's what I'm saying. Turn off to the right, and come in obliquely. Fire one at range 25. Then turn immediately left to bring the other launchers into arc. If he tries to run in on that one, then immediately fire another one. Okay? Mm-hmm. If he turns off and runs that one out, follow it in until he runs out of map, and then fire another one, and then at, say, range 20, and then another one a little closer in, and just keep lobbing him in at one at a time.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure you see the fault. There's one issue with that, which is, of course, that your opponent can then pick a shield. He can spread.
Yeah.
Spread the kinetic waves over multiple shields.
Yes, they can. That's the problem with this weapon. It's not. Yeah, if you spread it out, he can spread it out, and then I don't think this ship is playable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. It's a very difficult ship to play, and worse yet, your opponent has to be willing to do something which are suboptimal when it comes to actually how he fights. You know.
Yeah. If you're up against anybody who understands the weakness of that ship, you can't. It's not a damn thing you can do. Now, I went into module O2, SSD book O2. I don't know if you have access to that.
I should. Let me just. Yes.
The command cruiser.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that'd be number 69. Okay.
So, that guy added 2 lights. One LS, one RS.
Mm-hmm.
That might make a difference. Also added a lot of impulse.
Oh, did it ever?
Yeah. But you kind of need it because those lights take a lot of power.
Oh, I agree.
Remember that even the lights takes 3 points of power per turn to arm.
Yep.
And the lights have the same range as the heavies.
Right. They're just a little weaker. Actually, they're not
Yeah.
bad. If you look at the damage when it comes to the optimum range, they're not that far off the heavies. Really?
Right. Yeah.
So you definitely, I definitely could see if someone was playing Sigvirions, they would rarely ever actually launch a heavy, except for the first time.
Yeah.
Because of you don't get that you get more damage, but you need in the middle of a fight you need to be getting those weapons back available ASAP, and that's going to be 2 turns, and you can take the decreased damage.
Yeah. So with 6 launchers, effectively, it's another horse of another color.
Oh, I agree that the additional light kinetic wave weapons definitely help.
Yeah.
Will it be competitive? Because as we pointed out, it's not like it has more Does it have more phasers? No.
Nope.
Nope. Same number. Oh, sorry, pulse emitters. So sorry, these are not phasers. Definitely.
Now another possibility is 3 pages down on page 72 is the new command cruiser. Now, it's new heavy cruiser.
Yeah.
Now the new heavy cruiser, you're back down to just the 4 heavy kinetic waves.
Damn. You got an IPE.
What?
And you also have phaser W. Phaser 1s.
Yes, it replaces each of the light kinetic waves with a pair of phaser 1s, and it replaced 4 of the PEs with PW3s, which are, in my opinion, lesser phasers. But you picked up 2 IPEs. I don't know why that's 10 points more than the command cruiser. I think that's a lesser ship.
To a certain degree, I agree. The one thing that the phaser 1s give it is better range. when it comes
Yes.
to damage from their secondary weapons.
Yes. Phaser ones give you better range. They're actually at short range, the PEs are better.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And that's why I said for the longer ranges, i.e., outside of
Right.
range
Now
3.
The IPEs are somewhat better than the PEs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically one more energy, one more damage per pulse. It's still not up to a phaser Gatling now.
Yeah, but it is closer. Actually, at range 1, it's equal.
It's much closer to a Gatling.
It's per pulse, it's equal. At range 1.
It's actually better at longer ranges than
Yes.
a Gatling.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But at short range, it matches a Gatling. And, at range 3, it's killer kick-ass. I think the new heavy cruiser would be the appropriate ship to take for a tournament cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 2 extra kinetic wave launchers are a bit overpowered. And
Barry, I have a hard time believing. No, I really have a hard time believing that. Given the quirkiness of how the damage is, that the closer you're in, you get, the better off you are as an opponent. This is not if they had it so that it was actually did more damage closer in.
Yeah.
Have it so maybe it
like any other weapon.
Right. It doesn't even have to do, doesn't have to be even equal to the range 15. Let's say, it's a little bit less than that. It's still, needs to be a lot better, a lot more damage than it currently is.
I know.
So
there's only one other weapon in the game I know of that improves as the range increases. And that's the ADD.
True. Well, ADA is meant to be used at a certain range. And as it gets closer, it gets worse. And in that case, you're more desperate. It's like, please hit, please hit, please hit.
Yeah, I know.
Been there,
but yeah, okay. I could see a CC might be a decent ship to use. Certainly needs the power. Gosh. 6 times 3 is 24 points of power into heavy weapons every turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why you need that extra power. But
although having said that, after 2 turns, you've put 48 points of power into weapons. You're going to be doing 48 points of damage even at the 1 through 5.
Right.
That's substantial.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But it's, it still doesn't compare it to some other weapons that.
And if you can get them out to 6 to 10 range, it's a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. But it assumes that you're able to launch them all.
He could.
No, but remember,
the firing arcs are screwy.
Yep, exactly. it's not as bad as the Jandarian when it comes to its firing arcs versus, when it comes to its weapons. But it comes close.
No, it isn't. It's actually much better, and I'll tell you why. Because this ship is nimble and has 2 free hecks. So you can fire half, heck, fire the other half. Boom, boom.
True.
Yeah. Of course, at that point, your opponent just says decel and weasel.
Yeah. That is the issue. Because that's always the issue for any seeking weapon. Opponent.
Actually, the decel and weasel would be a devastating thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is start moving slowly, because now the Sig can get to effective range, and even firing them as lights, a light at most effective range is just as effective as a heavy at the medium ranges.
Right. Because then you can control the range a heck of a lot better since your opponent is going slower. Yeah, that's what you want.
Right.
Interesting idea, though.
Yeah. On the other hand, against a fast opponent, if they're at any decent range, and they can hit and run them out. But
yeah, we can't hit many times and run them out. Run them out without heading. Yeah, but you don't want to hit too long.
Yeah,
Lord knows that's how I won my first Sapphire star. For the 4 game. Was that Gorn tried to hit twice, and that didn't work out. Failed on that second hit.
Oops.
So. Yeah, oops. That'd be it.
Oh, that's game over.
Yeah, that was game over. Yeah, that's when Dave Zimbars. I was playing him.
Oh,
you remember him, right?
And he decided. I do remember him.
Okay, I hope so because we both met him at Schenectady.
Council 5.
Council 5. Yep.
Council 5 Nations.
Yeah, he did his lecture.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that, and I occasionally correspond with him on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was rusty. It's like, yeah, Dave, yeah, you were definitely rusty because he did in that battle. He did some really weird things. I'm going, why did you just do that? Why, Dave? Why did you do that?
That is actually Dr. Dave Zindar.
Mm-hmm. True. Very true.
PhD in physics.
Damn. I don't think my father got a PhD in physics. I think he only had a master's.
I got my bachelor's in physics.
Yeah, well, my father also worked for the Ballistic Research Lab in Aberdeen, Maryland. Basically worked in the Defense Department. He worked on shaped charges. Basically armor-piercing missiles. The warheads that they were designing for that, and also he was.
What was this during the Korean War?
Yeah, he definitely was working for them during the Korean War. Yeah.
My father was there at that time.
Huh.
They may have met.
That is possible. Yeah, also he worked on the reactive armor.
Is your father still with us?
No. Whoa. Long ago passed away. Just like my mother
and mine went
long ago passed away too. So
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know my father passed in '95, so I guess we can't ask them.
Yep. Oh, agreed. Agreed. Was he just at already
But
proving ground, or did he actually work at the ballistic research lab?
the proving ground.
Okay. Okay. So they might have seen each other, but they might not have interacted all that much.
Right.
Because
Well, my
proving
father
ground
was electrical
is pretty
engineer.
big.
So. Oh, I know. But they were in the same general area at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I remember I remember going to ballistic research lab on those family days, where they basically would let people in to visit the research lab to see, okay, some of uh, the hardened, well, not hardened. Well, obviously it was kind of hardened. Um, Basically labs where they actually would put the explosives in this space and explode it, and then get measurements
Mm-hmm.
from that. Um, so they show people around the offices. Obviously, they'd make sure anything that was classified was put away, and all that kind of thing. Also, got to see the tank um, trial place, because they had different um, slopes for the tanks to try to get up, so to test them
Right.
out. You know, some of that was.
I know my father was working on artillery rounds at Aberdeen and testing that. So that's in some ways similar. But my father, I think, was he was drafted, and his draft, he only did one enlistment, and when that was up, he was no longer required to re-enlist, and he didn't.
Right.
And I think that was up in the late 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my father, they tried to draft him, but they couldn't. Medical issues. So he worked for the Defense Department. He wasn't part of the Army.
Yeah.
So, yeah, crazy. But anyhow, back to actually Starfleet Universe. I'm talking about our fathers.
Yes.
But yeah.
So yeah.
So,
as I said, it was, I don't know. I definitely would. I could see the command cruiser.
Right.
I would not.
I would like to try that. I think it'd be interesting to see how it turned out against some of the Omega
with the
opponents.
improved PEs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would help a lot.
That'd be one.
And then you have the PW3s, more damage still, because PWs are anemic. They really are.
Oh, understood.
Yeah.
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 I'll just wonder if there's any way of improving it. And I don't think there is.
Well, you could. Certainly there is.
Of giving it
you mean
that it normally doesn't have. I'm not talking about the phaser W's. I'm talking about other phases which are a little better for offensive work versus defensive. Obviously, the great thing about pulse emitters is that they're pretty close to being phasers, and they're really good for defense.
Right. Well, with the two improved PEs, that's all you need for point defense. If you took the 4 PW3s and turned them into PW1s, then you would have 8 PW1s. That's about right.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be one thing to do.
Agreed.
Or take the PW3s and make them back into IPEs.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I was thinking about, but I'm not sure how much better it becomes. Is say we take the Expanse command cruiser, take the command cruiser, convert all the PEs to IPEs. How much better does it make it?
The command cruiser.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
the
the
command
cruiser, which has all 6 torps, but instead of having having PEs, have IPEs.
I think the command cruiser with the standard PEs might by itself be pretty thick ass because it's got 2 extra lights.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Definitely.
That might, yeah.
I agree that it definitely opens up options because you'll have enough to make someone think when it comes to approaching, coming after you. And at the same time, you'll have enough for like the next turn and actually have something to fight with. So
yeah,
it would. I think it would help. I don't think it'd be overpowerful because I really don't think so. But I think it
with what?
Adding the 2 KRLs.
KWLs, yeah.
KWLs. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, so you want to take a standard command cruiser, or did you want to increase it any further than that?
Well, obviously, if we were to play test it, I'd take the standard command cruiser to start with minor modification when it comes to the batteries. Next, no, it has 5 batteries.
It has 5 batteries. More warp. Good. It would need more warp. Well, remember, it's got center, so let's see how much center. It's got 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, it would need more warp because it's got 14 and 12 is 26. It would need 4 more warp.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd keep the impulse where it is.
Yeah.
At 16 impulse, which would give it 46 power.
Mm-hmm.
Which is huge, but
those
KWs are power hungry.
No kidding. See, that's the thing, and they can't be held for a lower cost. They
hold for 2.
Okay, but still, that's pretty tight.
12 points of holding. Yeah.
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 And then of course you got the pulse emitters, which again you can hold for half cost.
Right.
But only half cost. This is not like it has phasers.
Right. Right. So you're paying 15 in holding cost.
Mm-hmm.
For all your weapons.
Right. That's yeah, exactly. So that's you need that additional power.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Otherwise, you won't walk and chew gum at the same time. So.
Right.
Okay. Well, Barry, I think we'll let you go at this point because I don't think there's not much we can discuss about the Sigvirions from this point. I think we've talked it all out. Yes.
Right. I was thinking that next week I'd like to discuss go back to the Mazaron, revisit the Mazaron.
Okay. I would be more than happy to revisit the Mazaron.
Okie doke.
Okie dokie. Well, Barry,
hey,
you have a good night.
Good hearing from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm glad we had Barry for as long as we did, because he was tired and I know he needed to get some sleep. But had a nice, wonderful talk about the Sigvirion. Actually, I think it's Sigvirions. not Sigvirions, because it's an I, not an A. Um, discuss it. The kinetic wave weapon is just, it's nuts. You know, how it increases in damage as it goes along, and then it trails off. So if you get it early on, then it doesn't do as much damage. If you get it later, much later on, it doesn't do as much damage. But if you just are bad you're with your timing, or you forget, then you can be hurt quite a bit. So, that's why, again, I think, sorry, I'm pointing at it here, and you guys can't see it. The command cruiser, I think that is probably a better idea when it comes to having it as a tournament cruiser, and let it keep the power. Lord have mercy, let it keep the power, because it's going to need it. That's why I'm sure that's why it has 16 points of impulse. Now remember, it has no APRs, not a single one. Now, the crazy thing about impulse is, who cares? If you had like four impulse and 4 APR, well then then you're just worried about how it takes damage, because that would change the way it took damage in that case, because of how the way the damage allocation chart, in that you'd only be able to hit not one impulse, but it make it harder to take down more power overall. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up for the evening. With that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.